heard about Startup Weekend, been to an event, been to Demo Night before? Like 50. So the format was everything you're going to see here tonight happened this weekend. We started Friday night with 42 pitches of ideas, and then we cut that down to 8 teams. So tonight you'll be seeing these amazing 8 teams present their products, their websites, their apps, and it'll be really fun, so get excited. First, we'd like to thank our global sponsors for providing all these services: Amazon, Microsoft, OpenTalk, Odesk, Twilio, and the Kauffman Foundation. And we would also like to give a big thanks to our local sponsors, and a huge thanks to Marshall and the Entrepreneurial Gripe Center. And now Tommy Knapp, part of the Entrepreneurial Gripe Center, would like to say a few words.
Hey, thanks very much. Big round of applause for Faye. They went to Startup Weekend last February, I think, was it February, in the spring, and in Santa Monica, and just said, we got to do this on campus, and we're excited to have it be the first one here on the West Coast, have it right here at USC, right here at the Marshall School of Business, and the Gripe Center is all about entrepreneurial power, and love that you guys are all doing great things. So we're really excited to see your 8 presentations tonight, and just want to make sure that you all know there's a lot of great things going on campus, and come see us in the Gripe Center, and there's all sorts of other events that are going on beyond this in terms of prize competitions coming up, different things. So your businesses are launching tonight, and hopefully we can keep them going for you. So anyways, good luck, and thanks so much for letting us be involved.
One last thanks to another helper of Startup Weekend, Keyshawn in the back, who's been sitting there at the registration table. Hello? That was great. And we'd like to give a great thank you to the amazing judging panel that we have here tonight. They are all accomplished entrepreneurs, and we want to say thank you to Tyler, Scott, Dan, Pamela, and Rick. And we're going to give them a few words to say about themselves.
Thanks, Anna. I'm very happy to be here. And I was there when you guys were at the first Startup Weekend and saw you guys got bit by the Startup Weekend bug. I think most people, their first time, because I guess half the people said they had been here before, so that means half that's their first time, right? Did everyone have kind of a fun time learning a lot? It's a good habit, and I think your second one is the real exciting one, because you take everything you learned from this one and you apply it to the next one, and that's when it starts getting really fun. And so already looking forward to the next one here. The turnout here is awesome. You guys did a great job. I'm really excited to see you guys again.
Good evening. So my name is Scott Sangster. I'm with an organization called Techos Angels, and I have been bitten by the Startup Weekend bug. I think this is 6 or 7 or something, but they get better and better, and so keep going. And I have friends who are in startups that can't resist the pull and continue to go back and do new startups in parallel. And so you'll see that Tyler's one of those crazy guys. So I just wanted to say a quick word about Techos Angels, because as you begin to move forward with some of these ideas, it will occur to you that you might benefit from a little external funding and mentoring and advice and counsel. And so to the extent that you all are going forward, you should know about Techos Angels, which is a group that's been in Southern California for about 14 years. It does exclusively early stage venture investing, which means it's your first $75,000 to $500,000. And the group's invested in about 170 companies over that period, put about $100 million in, and is every quarter the most active single investor in Southern California. So it's a great group, 300 angel investors, many of whom are entrepreneurs themselves and have a wealth of kind of experience and perspective that's really needed to give back. So anyway, if you're interested in learning more, they know about TCA, and I would love to talk to you later today as well. Anyway, have a great night. Look forward to hearing what you come up with.
Hi, I'm Dan Deo, and I run a startup accelerator although I'm a judge, I was here all weekend. I was here till 11 o'clock last night, and it's just so awesome what happens at Startup Weekend, seeing real results come out of the energy and inspiration that you folks supply. A little bit about Upstart LA. Our applications are open. We are based on the Techstars model, so if you're familiar with that, we actually provide the funding before Scott and Tech Coast Angels. And really, the real value from our program is the 3-month mentor-driven education, advice, guidance that you get so that you can take your great ideas, turn them into real businesses, and hopefully either get the revenue to be able to bootstrap your business or the funding to be able to continue to grow the business. So our class starts in January, and applications are open with our first deadline October 15th. You guys may see me around a lot. I'm very accessible. I'm constantly out at events. I post everything on Twitter and Blame Pass. So if you have questions, come see me, stalk me. I like being stalked. So just come meet me. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Pamela Pilker. I'm very happy to be here. I'm based down in San Diego. I just want to say a few words about the company I started. It was a technology company, and we took old business applications written in the COBOL business language and moved them to the computers. That sounds really boring, and we were last into our market. We entered the market when everyone said COBOL was dead. But we made 94 times our money, and we sold it in 100 countries around the world, and we really had a lot of fun. So sometimes you might want to think, when you're thinking about new markets, our core talent that we were really good at was marrying old technology with new. And we were able to keep these applications alive, which now today run on mobile devices, started out running on mainframes. So there's business value all up and down the food chain, and you don't always have to be number one and first one out of the chute. And I'm thrilled to be here because if you don't start, you don't finish, and this is a great way to start.
Hi, I'm Rick Citron. I love speaking at SC, even though I went to Cal Berkeley and I graduated at UCLA. My daughter went here, graduated in 2006, and she's working at Hulu right now. I'm a businessman. I'm also an attorney. I stopped counting the startups we represented at about 3,000 many years ago. I've been around for a long time. And I watched a lot of startups succeed and a lot of them fail. Events like this give you a significantly better chance to succeed. I've seen it so many times where young people come in and they want to start a new company and they go to school for it, but locking in events like this are what make you focus on what it takes to have a business be successful. One concept I want to say before we start, maybe you might have a chance to talk, build a good team. People invest in your team. If you've got a really good team, you've got a chance to make it. Thanks.
I just wanted to take the chance to say one other thing, which is when I went to UC San Diego, I wish we had this when I was going there at my campus. What a treat this really is. And the second thing is, don't sell yourself short on like the fact that Scott's here and I'm here, like the other judges that are here. I'm incredibly interested to see what you guys come up with, because the big investors in Silicon Valley, they really want to know what you guys see as what's going to be happening next year and 2 years from now. Well, you more than anybody know what's going to be working a year from now, 2 years from now. So the investors and myself, everyone in this game, you guys are the lifeblood of what turns into the next Facebook and everything else like that. I know you've heard that, maybe you think that, but I think it's important that people really understand that that's the reality. Like older guys like myself and Scott, we do our own startup weekends over in Santa Monica. They're fun and everything, but this is the real deal. So I'm super excited.
Thank you. And one last round of applause for Joey over here, who is the CMO Startup Weekend and came all the way down.
And these are our awesome teams who are going to be judged on the following criteria: customer validation, business model, and execution. What have they done? You will find out. And one last thing, when you guys are moving forward, there's a competition planned by the Viterbi School of Engineering, and the prize is $50,000 for the winning team, so it's a little bit better than our prize. Our prize is still pretty cool. The winning team gets a trip to Disneyland. Reddits from Amazon, AppSumo, as well as some time with Rick and Dan. Okay. Now our first presentation will be done by William Dennis, and it's called Startup Kool-Aid.
Get excited.
So a lot of you guys are talking about getting bit by the startup bug. Me, Faye, Anna, and Keyshawn were all organizing this, and we drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. So we made a product called Startup Kool-Aid. We built it over this weekend, and I'd like to tell you exactly what Startup Kool-Aid does. Startup Kool-Aid is a location-based, real-time social network and data analytics platform that provides daily deals through a peer-to-peer mobile e-commerce aggregator while leveraging existing social networks to promote viral growth. I know you guys are thinking, I get it. Why didn't I think of that? Well, right now we're going to walk you through some of the products because it's something that we built for ourselves as entrepreneurs. It's a startup toolkit. So the first step is you're going to want to go and you're going to drink some startup Kool-Aid. It's going to get in your blood. You're going to feel pretty good about it. After you drink this startup Kool-Aid, you're going to think, I should quit my finance job and educate myself a little bit on the state of startups. You're going to watch This Week in Startups with Jason Calacanis and educate yourself on the Mean Startup methodology by Eric Rees. From there, you're going to apply to incubators such as Techstars, and if you're lucky, you'll be able to find a CTO. They're very difficult to find, especially in the wild. From there, start building a company, and hopefully it doesn't burst before the bubble. So this is live on the internet. This is not vaporware. It's hard to believe that may be to build in only a couple hours. You guys pull up the presentation. You guys are great. So how are we going to make money? Well, we're going to be hockey sticking pretty soon. By slide 4, we're going to hit our point of injection, and by tomorrow morning, everything goes as planned, we'll IPO. All we have to be is 1% of Facebook. We're going to be $1 billion company, I'm excited. And based on some strategic market testing and some very specific research based on viral growth and viral metrics, we're excited that user growth is going to be over 30 million uniques by the end of the first month. And so our competitive landscape, we hope to be the newest company on the internet. That's really our point of differentiation. A Subway just opened down the street, but they focus on sandwiches, so we think we're pretty good there. And what's nice is by the time we become an old company, we hope to IPO. So I'd like to introduce our rockstar board of developers. Ozzy Osbourne, who writes the Ruby on Rails and JavaScript. Kim Kardashian, she's big on Twitter. And Paul McCartney has an MBA as well. So that is Startup Kool-Aid. I look forward to our IPO. If you guys follow us on Twitter, I'll get you in on the lowest stock price I can. Thanks a lot.
That was just for fun. We had too much fun, I think it appears to be. But on a more serious note, we are going to have the first team come up, and they are called Pitch Spark.
We all hear on a regular basis, there should be an app for that. But the average person doesn't have the money or wherewithal to hire a developer, pay to get that app designed, and market it effectively in the marketplace. Imagine a place where we can collect the best app ideas from around the globe, and in real time determine the most popular ideas, and then connect the idea generator and the developer to build that app. Introducing PitchSpark. Let me show you how it works. So you have an idea for an app. You have a great idea, you love it, you can't get it built. You come to PitchSpark and you pitch your idea. You get taken to a simple form where you fill out what is your idea about? What's the problem you're trying to solve? What's the solution? How does it all work? Then you go to pay for it. It costs you $5 and you get to do two things. One, you get a real shot at getting that app built. And two, you get real-time feedback from our community. So after you pitch it, you spark it. You get votes, you get comments. You go out on Twitter and Facebook and you pitch your idea to your friends. You say, come check out my app idea. Come check it out and vote for it and make it get great votes in the marketplace. The more votes and positive influence you get, the better shot you've got at getting that app developed. Once you've gone from pitching it, you're going to try and find a developer. But how do we keep the developers engaged? Here comes our problem. We need to find developers, but we don't know how. Sorry about that. The developer engages in a revenue share agreement with the pitcher. And we know that this idea works. We started being revenue generating last night. We had our first idea, and we've had 5 additional ideas pitched to the site today. We've had 20 comments, and we've had 20 people voting on the site. We also launched a survey, and overwhelmingly 85% of people said that they would use an engine like this. We polled students, we made outside phone calls, and we kept asking questions. In came our first problem. Where do we find the developers? How do we get them engaged in an idea like this? Corporate sponsors. We find corporate sponsors who are willing to put up money, say $40,000 in their brand. The developer not only gets the prize money, but they also get to attach their name to that brand. We're working with Disney Interactive Media Group right now to make this a reality. And what's in it for them? What does the corporation get? They get an awesome crowdsourced app. They get publicity the entire time through the contest. And they get to use the money that they would to build the app and market at the same time. We take a little fee off the top for providing the platform for them to run this contest. And so the PitchSpark brand is ignited and built. Our brand means something. There may be 1 million apps at the time in the App Store, but there's only one PitchSpark app. And we continue to move on with this idea. The PitchSpark seal of approval means that your brand is going to sell in the marketplace. We also market. We market to our community who are app consumers themselves. And we have a space on the site that has a shop that links to Apple where we can produce affiliate revenue. Time out. This is a game-changing opportunity. We're not here today pitching one app. We're here today pitching a piece of every single app that comes through our engine. And our engine is huge. The app market is exploding. It's projected to be $55 billion by 2015. With our site, we can help control app development. We control the funnel of ideas in and try and get the best ideas out of the funnel as quickly as possible. How do we take this company forward? There's really 3 ways. 1, we market it. We market it like crazy. We're all over Twitter. We're all over Facebook. We're taking press from Startup Weekend and working with our corporate sponsors. That's number 2. We work with Disney and we work with other companies. Number 3, we build this website. We keep listening to users. We keep engaging with our users. I want to tell you about our team because it's awesome. Sanjay developed the site. Jason and Alex did the graphic design. Alex is our chief strategist, and he had great ideas. Mike is social media, Twitter, Facebook. Henry's a serial entrepreneur. He's done 3 successful ventures. This would be his 4th. I'm a restless entrepreneur, and I know that this idea and this team is great. I'm going to pass it on to Alex to finish us off.
All right, let me explain really quickly, in no uncertain terms, why this is a big deal and why this should matter to you at the end of the day. You see, this is not just another marketplace. It's not just another community. What this is a platform, vertically streamlining the mobile app development process. Apps for the people, by the people. The reason why this is so powerful is because it puts this in the hands of the public, which is when it's normally out of their hands. Regular people like you and I, empowered with the ability to bring about tangibly the entrepreneur in you and me. Our vision, democratize mobile app creation. PitchSpark. Fund us.
you ignore the bell at the end, that's a good sign. I just want to say I like tool, platform approaches in which you can leverage the rising tide. So I think that's great. I think the idea of a tool set that diversifies across any one app or team is a great way to write it. I guess I would have questions about from the picture perspective. I guess what gives me any kind of competitive protection that I'm not just sending out my great ideas that the city developer could run with or anyone else could read, vote down, and then go do.
Yeah, so two things. One, we're at Startup Weekend tonight. I just pitched my idea. Any one of you can go steal it, right? So same kind of concept. Our target user, who's going to be, the entrepreneur who wants to come on here and pitch their idea, they can't get it done on their own, and they're not. They're not going to put up the 5 or 10 or 15 grand that it costs to develop their app. But the second piece is speed. Speed to market. If we can do this in the community, we can get ideas voted on, we can get developers developing, we can potentially go to market in 2 weeks. Sure, a developer might steal an idea and it might be able to do that once in a while, but once we get this engine running and self-fulfilling itself, that risk is going to largely mitigate itself. And there's also the brand. Yeah, great point. The PitchSpark brand is going to be ignited. It's going to mean something to have the PitchSpark stamp of approval on your app. And we're going to help you market it. We're going to have a store. We're going to send out mass emails to our entire group of consumers who are app consumers and say, hey, we launched a new PitchSpark app. Or we launched 10 this week. Check them out.
I'm curious if you gave some thought to it starts with the idea guide, and then there's the bringing in the people who can build it. That's step A. And then step B is once you have that product, who's really going to execute it day to day or run with it day to day if it's not the idea guide? It seems like that's the next piece to loop together. Like it leads to.
So who manages?
So what happens? Have you given some thought on what happens after that?
Yeah, we have given some thought, and there's a development lab. So once an idea has been validated by the community and a developer, potentially wants to work on it, it can go to the development lab. And it's really the developer who's going to run with it, but they can also work with the idea generator. I mean, developers right now are used to taking about 70% off the top of any app that they develop. So you can't cut the developers out, right? You're asking them to build it, you're asking them to engage with it. So they really have to do the project management piece. And the idea generator may want to be super engaged or not engaged at all. And that's something we still have to test. But we certainly thought about it. And the concept is move as much of that away from us. Make us the platform, make it a really cool place where they can interact, share ideas, share screenshots of apps, explain how it functions. But really, it's their project managing, it's their developing.
Threadless for mobile apps.
I think you touched on something, Dan, that you might have moved up in the presentation, which is the benefit of coming in with, if you can say, you can differentiate a new app launch with, I've got, as you call them, 2,700 Sparks or whatever. It could be, for anyone who's tried to launch an app in the last couple of years, just breaking out of the general noise is very difficult. Yeah. And that might be enough, as you said, to kind of get you above the level of the morass and maybe get you some media attention or get you better placement. So I think that's really interesting.
Great, thanks.
Good job.
By the way, I do believe in sharing your ideas with everybody around you to build a management team. Sharing it on the internet, I have to think through a little bit more. The developing the product and having it ready to go and putting it on the internet or putting it mobile is just the start of how you have a successful business. How are you going to build the team? How are you going to make a team that's more than just the guy with the idea and the guy who creates the software? And I think your idea has to grow on that side to allow successful companies to develop.
Yeah, and the idea is for this to spiral out of control, get as big as possible. Each developer can have a profile page of themselves, what they've worked on, why an idea generator wants to work with them, and you could get 500, 1,000 developers. I mean, however many. And the beauty of it is, if I pitch an idea and my friends don't know about PitchSpark, I put it on Facebook. I want to get votes, so I'm sending people into the site that are going to interact with it, at least for that 2 or 3 minutes that it takes for them to find their friend's idea and comment on it. So they know that the site exists. We start to build the brand that way, and then same with the corporate sponsors. We bring in developers that way. As far as a development team, rather than an individual developer, I think that's something that will evolve naturally and with our help. as the app ideas get more and more complicated and people realize this PitchBook brand, it's got value to it. We're going to do more expensive apps. We're going to put ourselves on the line and go build a $150,000 app. I'm going to bring my entire development team into this idea with me and get it built.
Who's going to be the one person who drives the company every single day to make it successful?
I don't think that it's only one person. I think it's a team. And I think that we've built some of that here today, and I think that we need to continue looking for that.
Paul McCartney's looking for a job.
All right, guys.
All right.
We'll be here all night if we do too many.
Thank you. Our next team is called Learning It.
Thank you. So while we get set up, we've been asked to talk a little bit about our entrepreneurial journey. So less than 24 hours ago, we were not Team Learning It. We were actually Team G6 Mafia. And the whole concept behind that was to be an online marketplace for empty legs on private charters. So nearly 24 hours ago, we almost booked a private flight from Sacramento to Las Vegas for the same price as a commercial flight from Sacramento to Las Vegas. And then we spoke to a couple of people. We spoke to brokers in the industry. We even spoke to the CEO of Virgin Charter. And we came to realize through all our industry analysis that what we were really so gung-ho about wasn't really worth being that gung-ho about. And we discovered a whole bunch of structural and legal issues with the industry. And so we did the classic pivot, except that we pivoted to a completely different industry. I'm more than happy to share with you what we did pivot to today. So we're Team Learning It. I think we'll just use that one. Let's go ahead. I want to learn French, right? How can I learn French? So next. I can go to YouTube and search for how to learn French. And as you can see, the options are not very helpful. So next. I can go to Quora, which is the hottest, Q&A site on the web, and search for how do I learn French. As you can see, the answer is not very useful. So what is a man supposed to do if you want to learn French? And for the demo, I'm gonna pass it on to Yanis real quick.
So I want to learn something. Here is a search bar where you pretty much say what you want to learn. So you can go from anywhere from beatboxing, origami, I want to learn, I need some help with math. You can learn pretty much anything. We make anybody an expert. So once I put in everything that I wanted to learn, the website gives me a list. So how to use manual functions of my Nikon D40, how to learn French. I will talk to Jägermeister 113. So teach him. So here I can set the price. I can start setting my schedule so that people can then go back and meet at a certain time on the website. One of the problems with synchronous video is that different people are not on the website at the same time. So this is a scheduling tool so people can come back and get to the website at the same time. So I can also go into details, exactly what I do, and click submit, and then we can go into the what is available on the website. So in this case, we're going to go do a demo with Professor Mike, and we have somebody in this room that we will be teaching French to. So I hope there's no feedback on this.
That's our teammate in the back.
So this is our teammate. So this is actually using the OpenTalk API. So we are currently learning French with him. I don't know if I should. Okay. So what would you like to learn today in French?
I would like to learn how to say frog is green.
Okay, so he said I want to learn how to say green frog in French. So the answer would be la grenouille est verte. Try it. Okay, so he asked me to repeat it. La grenouille est verte. So this essentially gives us automatic feedback. So when he wants me to repeat, instead of going back on the video, he can actually ask me questions, and I can go on and give him instant feedback on what he's doing. So this is this is currently live, and you can play with it later if you want.
So there you have it. That's how, using our software, you can learn how to speak French in under 30 seconds. So now it turns out that many people want to learn French, and there's a real-time Twitter feed as of today afternoon of people who want to learn how to speak French. And it turns out that people want to learn a lot more things than just French. And so there's a real-time visualization of what people are searching on Twitter, on Howcast, and all the other online learning websites. Right? So let's go to back to the presentation, please. Good. So it's quite clear that people want to learn a lot more than just French. And it can be things like, I don't know how to beatbox, right? And so what we did is we went out there and we did a survey among all our friends, and we got close to 180 responses, right? And what we observed is that there's really an unmet need. And so many people go online more than 7+ times a month to look for things to learn for, and they're not able to do that. So next. And it turns out that 68% of these respondents were willing to pay more than $1. In some cases, they were willing to pay more than $16, and that's 10% of who we polled, to be able to learn how to do something online via video chat. So next. And that's an example of what they said they wanted to be able to learn. And a classic use case of this to get feedback. You know, and so if you're trying to learn French, am I saying French the right way? Are my enunciations what they should be? So next. And what's the problem that we're trying to solve? And the problem is that if you look at some of the hardest startups out there, their solutions, they're not real-time, they're not personalized, and they're very asynchronous. And so, it turns out that based on the analysis we've done, that we're among the first movers in this space, you know, and there are a couple other startups out there, but they haven't reached the critical mass needed to get there. So how do we make bank? We intend to take 15% of the revenue. I'm sorry, let's make it. So we intend to take 15% of the revenue that is decided between the expert and the user, and we intend to make other revenues from contextual ads.
Thank you. Remember to keep questions and answers short and concise. Thank you.
Okay, so you talked about the asynchronous versus synchronous, and that you're the first synchronous, and there might be a really good reason why there's no one in that box, because it's really hard to pull off. You have a marketplace model, so you need to have providers and learners. So give us some more detail on how that plays out as an advantage and not just an empty marketplace where you can't find a match for what you're looking for.
Right, and so I guess the challenge that you alluded to is a very valid one. Because for this model to work, you need to have scale effects at some point. And so what becomes really important is to you do have to push that ball off the hill at some point. And for us, that means going to the right partner channels. So starting to go to Quora and starting to recruit people from there, starting to go to YouTube and looking at the online celebrities there. And what you realize is that if you look at the top 10 internet celebrities on YouTube, there are actually not that many of them. And it's quite easy to recruit them. So you have and there's an example that we looked at. You had a lot of people online who were doing makeup tutorials. And if you look at the top 3 girls who are doing makeup tutorials, they constitute close to like 70 million views on YouTube. And so for us to go out and recruit these guys would be a good place to start. And then eventually we start building on the scale effects.
Also, we use the appointment. So we use the appointment so you can actually go looking for something and you can set up an appointment with a local expert. And that's how you synchronize a meeting online.
So I'm going to answer my own question, and then I'm going to ask it. And so it seems to me one obvious use after you launch will be for adult purposes. How do I, and that's 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and it's a great platform for high value exchanges. But I wonder beyond that, though.
Keep going.
Part of the reason that there may not be a lot of that we haven't seen this kind of solution today is people may not want it. The learner who wants to learn French may be completely satisfied listening to or watching a YouTube video at their convenience, where they can get a lot of the pronunciation and kind of visual cues that you would offer without necessarily that one-to-one personalization. How big do you think the market is, and what's that based on?
I'm happy to answer. So I think that if you look at sites like Quora, and you look at the kind of engagement they're having on questions which could be as simple as beatboxing, right? And you start to look at what is the back and forth, or what kind of engagement they're having. So you oftentimes have questions about, can I learn beatboxing? and you have a lot of back and forth. And the fact that you have these many comments for something as simple indicates that there is room for this kind of real-time feedback mechanism where you could go online and get real-time feedback.
And the questioners pay $20 a question on Quora?
No, they don't. And so this is where it's important to realize that we're a marketplace, right? And so the onus of that also lies on the expert to be able to price their expertise at the right price point.
Also, through our research, we found that e-learning is a $48 billion industry. So I would think there's room for us in there.
And just going off from memory, if you look back at what e-learning startups you've been to, and you realize that it's a very fragmented market, and there's still no one dominant player.
Short and concise. There's one last question.
Yeah, real short answers always give better. But you're doing fine. As a matter of fact, I would really like this. I come out of a company whose motto was learn anything, so this resonates with me on a fairly deep level. And I also there's a company in Japan called Smart FM that you're going to want to look at that has been thinking along these lines in very big broad strokes for a long time, and they've had quite a bit of success with the Japanese. They started on the vertical of teaching English to Japanese online, and they basically killed the in-person market there, which is why the Japanese schools aren't hiring like they used to for people out of school. But two things that came to mind right away was you're going to want to handle the payment in front so that the teacher knows that the person paid before they spend their time in the meeting. And then it's kind of like you serve as a sort of PayPal intermediary. You just finish the transaction and you just hold it in escrow, but they can also add a tip if they want. And then the other thing is, why not, the teacher doesn't necessarily care how many people there are on the other side. They might, but they can adjust accordingly and give the option. But it doesn't have to be one-to-one, because if I have really good expertise, I want $500 an hour, not 50, and I want to teach 30 people at once. When you get your 30 people together, let me know when we'll do a class online and those kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so we started with one-to-one just because it was a little bit different than the way that other people were doing it. The great thing about the API that we're using is that we can have a ton of people on the site. And it's more, the less people there are, the more personal you can do. You can ask questions just like you would in a private lesson as opposed to in a classroom.
Thank you. Next up, we have Neighborly.
If I mess up, I've had 1 hour of sleep, but I feel fine. I feel excited.
More than enough.
Do you guys know your neighbors? I know where I live. It's more common for people to know me by my unit number. I'm Brad Unger, or Unit 303. Meet Neighborly. Neighborly is a social network movement, because unlike social networks, we're using your online presence to make real-world connections. You can borrow anything you want for free. You're going to earn karma points to use in our rewards market. This is where the sleep comes in. I'll be back. My phone dies all the time, my iPhone. So right now it's almost dead. So I'm going to actually use Neighborly to get myself a charging cable. First, I'd use the search bar to actually put in my product, which is the charging cable, and that request will be sent out in a relative distance from where I am. Notification will be put out there, and someone will confirm that they'll lend the product to me. So Moon got the notification. After we accept the opportunity for a transaction, a communication platform will come up, and once we confirm a transaction, the goods will go into my inventory, and time limits can be set for returning it. Moon will earn her karma points to be spent in our rewards market. So you can see some of them there. I'll get back to it later. We plan on launching the product at colleges, and USC is going to be the prime one first. So we did some market research, and we actually have a video to show you guys.
guys be interested in lending or borrowing items from your neighbors, from people you know?
Yeah, definitely. We do all the time.
I borrow and lend all the time.
If you had an app that allows you to do this an easy way and then connect with other people to lend and borrow items, would you use the app?
Yeah, I do that.
What would make you comfortable in lending items to your neighbor?
I guess I would like to have something in return for lending. Maybe like a transaction, if I lend something, I get supposed to lend an app or an iPhone or Android. You hope to connect with someone and give them something right then and there.
Would you guys recommend this to your friends, you think?
I think it would. I think it has a lot of potential, so yeah. But it's always good to connect with new people, so that's my way of looking at it.
So walking around campus, we interviewed about 30 people, and 100% of them said yes. But we also did an online survey and broadened it out, and 81% of all the users said yes. There were maybes in there, but we also didn't present clearly what our rewards platform was. We kept it a little more general and presented out there. So people said that they would use a rewards platform though. So our business model is affiliate marketing, which will power our social deals market. And then we'll have user-driven ads for every time someone opens the rewards store. So it'll be customer-driven based on their usage. And for a premium model, we could get rid of that pop-up. Unlike our competition, like NeighborGoods, Zarly, or TaskRabbit, we believe that they're just customer-client cash transaction-based models. And instead of building more customer-client relations, we actually want you to get to know your neighbors. So for the question and answer, I'll bring my team up because they're pretty awesome. And we do have a full, we've worked on the back end of it, and we have a whole framework for it. Our DNS servers didn't come through in time, but if you guys want to see it, we have it all on localhost. So that's it.
This is an idea that I've had over the years, and I've loved this idea. It's always been one in the back of my mind, and as time has gone on, some different insights have come that I want to share with you. One is that your actual competitor is here in LA. Your name is Mickey. It's called NeighborGoods.
Yeah.
And when she launched that, we met and I told her the same thing. We talked about it at length. I absolutely love the idea. However, if I was on your team, this is the kind of back channel conversation we'd have, but we'll just do it in front of everybody here. It seems that...
fast question.
Yes. No, it's not even so much a question. Here's my thoughts on this. Airbnb really kind of took a similar thing, just did it for beds specifically, and now there's a new one for cars, which is actually doing quite well within the Bay Area. I feel like it almost makes more sense to do it in a vertical. I like the idea of doing it at USC first, vertically, demographically and geographically, but also doing it on a particular thing so that people just remember for this particular issue, like a textbook.
Yeah, we could say that. Most of the responses is that people would start with textbooks. So when we started at USC, we would put that out there as the main recommendations and hope they kind of gear out to other stuff.
Right, but each one of those verticals could be its own business, actually.
Yeah.
And Craigslist and all the other things that got spawned off of Craigslist in the last 5 years are good examples of this. I think Craigslist has spawned hundreds of new startups that are all killing it, for example. The other thing I was going to say is that I love the idea of your video demonstration. And I think it's brilliant to go out and get validation before you spend your hard time and money building stuff. Like this is rule number one. But you will find out that people in general, as you find, will always tell you they want whatever you're asking them for. And it's this conundrum of when you come back with it and getting them to use it. So the trick that I've developed is, because I do that same tactic, is to go back and say, I've developed this thing, do you want to download it?
Yeah.
And like pretend like it's in the present tense, and then you notice they're a little less interested.
Yeah, that's actually why right now we did on HTML5, so we can immediately get it out to them and get responses and build on it before we actually put it out in the app markets.
Very smart.
Yeah.
But love the idea.
Right. And I just want to make sure you know that everything in our market's for free and just based on the rewards.
Yeah. So you talk about launching it on campus, and I'd say probably 90% of consumer businesses that I hear say, oh, we're going to launch it on campuses, like it's easy to do. So maybe give a little bit more detail as to how you're thinking about how you're going to promote this thing on the USC campus.
Okay, well, first off, we've already talked mostly to our Startup Weekend people, but to find out what they really want, like what type of rewards, So we actually went out today and went to, it was like 10 people, and we actually have, we have contacts to go back to them because they were interested, but they want to see the final product. So once we could build it a little more, we'll show it to them. But they're interested to put it out there, and we're going to hit the stuff that's like 901 bar, like places that are their action of make usage. We would like to get like Trojan basketball on board maybe, or one of the sports that's not football, because I know that always sells out. I guess volleyball kind of sells out too, but try to get the markets that they really want, and then we're going to also push it. Just hustle it here, yeah. And we're hoping that a win here could help get some momentum through USC.
I want to echo the.
Can I just add real quick? We did when we talked to students, in terms of the products they wanted, they did say textbooks, and they did say like come back to us. So we did get some emails that we can go back and email them and say, are you guys willing to use this now? Because they wanted to change textbooks was one of the top things that they wanted to change, and then clothing was the other one. So we did ask that.
So again, I love the video approach, and I know it's easy to say, lots of people do that and stuff, but lots of people and most people don't do that. And I know there was a lot of each of those conversations that we didn't see.
Yeah, we actually have like 18 more pieces of audio too, but without that,
don't show us yet. But it's good for you as you're thinking about the strategy of business. I think this is clearly, we made the point earlier about a marketplace. And the problem, even in one vertical, is you need a lot of people who want to share textbooks and a lot of people who want to use textbooks. And so as you begin to go broadly, you're going to have fewer of those matches. So I would focus really on how you solve that problem, because this isn't something that you can start with 50 people. And there's some businesses you can, and then you let the wildfire grow. This one, you either need a lot of people or you need laser focus.
Yeah.
There's just no way around. You got to pick one or the other.
What happens if they don't return it?
Well, we have a feedback system ingrained, and that's why there's time limits that people would set on it. And for larger goods later on, we'll have like a PayPal deposit system where you put money down, but it won't get charged until it's not returned.
Our next company is called Text Together, or Text Together, whichever interpretation you might want.
I should text Matt. He's so cute. I should hang out with Matt. Let me go ahead and text him. Let's hang out. Oh, I should add a smiley face too.
Oh, dude.
Who's that?
Sarah just hit me up. She wants to hang
she's
out.
so into you. You should text her back.
Yeah, what do I say? Help me out.
I gotta run, buddy. I don't know.
Really? Alright, I got this. I'll play it cool. Alright, she'll love that. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, Matt just texted me back. You're the first girl to ever come over. I'm calling my mom with the good news. What? Okay, never mind. I'll see him later.
Oh no. Well, I'm here to tell you today about a problem I have had for many, many years, with most of my conversations ending up exactly like this. All right, that's when I came up with the idea for Text Together. And, okay, yeah, you guys love it. Anyway, so this is how it works. We have both an app and a website that talk to each other. All you have to do, upload the text, it puts it on our website, people come there, check it out, give their advice on potential comments on how to respond, and it's also crowdsourced. And in the end, you get to choose from hundreds of different responses and pick the very best one. Never text hello.
So here at Text Together, we decided that we also want to look at the market, the people that would be using this site, our user base. So of course we think any male could benefit this, even if you had a wife, so you want to text them back. So we're looking targeting college males, 18 to 24, pretty much the USC demographic. And so what we're going to do with that is we're going to go out throughout the colleges, use that to spread virally and actually help students as well as anyone outside of school to help get more dates, more girls, more girlfriends, etc. So, next slide. So we did a market study to make sure that this is something that guys need help with. We found that 70% of guys get texts from girls that they don't know how to respond to. So that's a huge audience. And also at least 85% of them already asked their friends how they should respond. So pretty much we're moving on to revenue. This is all fun and games. Let's talk dollars and cents. So, and this site is going to be completely free to the user. We're going to start off growing this out in colleges with a focus on ad revenue. So ad revenue, of course, is not the key, it's not the end game, but it's enough to get us through in the beginning. We're looking at $1 to $5 CPM on average, so that's the cost per 1,000 uniques, and that it would essentially bring us enough revenue to cover server costs as well as the cost of development. Then from there, we'd elevate to the freemium model. The big thing with Text to Get Her is that we're not focusing on viral sites that are just fads. We're focusing on creating a strong community of users that actually get benefit from this and are able to help other people as well. So we create this system where guys get ranked within it for providing good advice and giving good feedback. This allows them to get access to gurus and then pay for freemium responses. So we'll essentially create a text Bible that would help people. They get to pay for that. Then we would also give them access to priority responses and inside membership to the community. Next slide. And now we got a sweet app developed. We're going to show you exactly how it works. I'm going to pull up the video. So one of the big things too is we actually launched a similar site a while back that did extremely well at the USC campus. It crashed the servers, and then because of developer issues, it never went back up again. But the problem with it was that we had people not putting up enough text, not enough content. A lot of people love to go see it, to look at it, check it out, see what's funny, etc. So we got the app, which is going to kill it.
All right, so I'm going to run you through the app real quick. It's a little video, so it's going to play. Basically, the way it works is everyone's going to create their own alias. And that's a very important name because that's going to be with you throughout the whole Text Together community. And so once you've done that, log in and everything, you get to submit a text. Let's submit a text. It's very easy. Click the Submit Text button, add the text from her, type in whatever she said. And the cool thing about this feature is we can show a conversation flow, so it's not just one text, it's actually the conversation itself. And once that gets in there, you'll see it. We're also going to talk about the background. So you get to hear the scenario. You get to see, okay, hey, I met this girl, we went to the movies, this is the second time we're hanging out. It creates a very good background information, and it really helps us as far as people that are helping this guy out. It helps us to know that information and provide the best responses. And the app works very seamlessly with our website as well. It's connected all through back end, and they'll be able to check both on the website and on the app, and as you can see here. So for this situation, I mean, if you run over your girlfriend's cat, you're in pretty bad shape. There's the situation, the conversation, as well as you can see the star system. We're trying to think of different ways to rank it, and we're going to go with the star. All right, guys, thank you very much. The website is up and running as well, and we're open to questions.
I have a question of logistics. How long would you typically think is permissible between receiving a text and needing to respond?
That's a great question.
That's actually an excellent question. That's one of the things we built into the site. Every single text has a time limit on it. So right now, we're putting it about an hour.
If you look at the site, it says about just now. So each text they'll have the opportunity of saying how much time they want to put it in for. So anywhere from an hour to about 3 hours.
Depending on your end game, obviously.
So quick sort of so using a room as market research, could the people behind us just in count to 3, but call out how long typically it would take you to respond if you got a text from someone saying, let's go hang out? 5 seconds.
Depends upon how cute
they are. They're all come on, shut up. I didn't hear one person say more than 10 minutes, much less 1 to 3 hours. So is that a problem?
It's not. I mean, when yeah, the timeliness of it, we have the system with the text is they're going from when they were posted, they'll go to the bottom, and the ones that have been on there the longest will be at the top. So you're going to get, when someone goes to the site, they're helping someone that needs help ASAP. Someone that's had it up there for about 10, 15 minutes, and it's getting close in time when they need to submit a text. And that's something we're going to build into the algorithm as well, because that is very important. And timeliness is. And the thing about timeliness is, once we have a big enough market, then it won't be an issue, because there will be thousands of people checking out the site at any moment.
They call that catch-22.
The way that you started this presentation was incredibly engaging. Like I can't think of the last presentation I saw that was that engaging. If your product ends up as engaging as the way you present and your logo and some of the other things that make me think like, well, you really kind of got. I mean, part of this is crazy, right? It's very novel, and that's props for that, because it's very hard to come up with very novel ideas. I've never seen anything like this. I see Scott and I both see tons of ideas. I've never seen anything like this. But it's kind of wacky. The part that I'm concerned about is the business part. But I really want to like this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I would love to see that. Hey, you're going to get a ton of press on this if this thing starts working at all. Because it's just that kind of crazy, weird thing that people won't like to report on, you know?
Well, they do.
Yeah. No, I love those kind of ideas, but it's like the business piece, I think, is the weak piece in this. So I would focus more on that. But props to everything else you've been doing so far.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
The average 18 to 24-year-old has 75 text conversations a day.
100.
I just read 75.
Pew just came out last week. Last week Pew just updated it. It was 114. Yeah.
Okay, so 114 text conversations. Let's say you're up 18 hours. That's a lot of text conversations. Have to wait for responses to come back. Also, it seems to me this is a piece of what somebody else already has. A lot of technologies start out as its own technology and then becomes a really piece of a much bigger technology. And the issue is you have something that's proprietary that will prevent Facebook from taking it from you.
Yeah, I mean, so that's your question, how do we protect it? I mean, I think one thing is the name itself, and going to market right now in the college scene, we're able to launch it at USC, which it'll grow very fast with fraternities, sororities, everything like that. All the responses have been very big. Like he mentioned, we did launch a version of that. And I think that people kind of, Facebook, you don't know where your info is going. It's not as anonymous. People might think, oh, it's getting linked to that. Versus here, it's completely anonymous. No one knows. You know, you don't have that, run the risk of someone finding this text conversation. The girl finds it, and then you're in a little bit of trouble.
By the way, love that.
Thank you.
So you have another catch-22. So it's anonymous, but you need to have some quality in that crowdsourcing, and also the guru is a kind of key element of your business model. And once you're all anonymous, how do you become a guru?
So that's something we put a lot of thought into. We came up with a whole ranking system, essentially, that would rank people who are part of the community when they post responses. So you can post a response anonymously, in which case it doesn't matter at all. But if you post as an actual user, then we actually analyze from the back end. When a user puts up a new text that from the response they got, they say how good the text from her was. So was it awful? Did it do it neutrally well? Or did you kill it completely out of the park? And so based on how they respond, the user that they gave credit to for giving them the idea gets points. And then also at the end of the text conversation, the user who posted the text can go back there and actually say if it was a success or a failure overall. So I never talked to the girl again, or we ended up going out on a date.
Is that in your working prototype, or is that just...
Yeah, that's in the back end. It's all there.
I could be totally wrong and crazy about this, but I think, and girls would know better than me, I think girls are gonna like to sit on this and watch what guys ask help for.
Hoping they get it.
Yeah, and like giving you the advice.
Yeah.
And I like it if you being able to tip them if they give you good advice. Like make a real simple way to kick them a couple bucks or whatever. Sometimes $20 it made my weekend, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you get a piece of that. So if you
That's an interesting thought.
That's a really good idea.
We'll definitely talk.
She's a
She
helped us with product development.
Yeah, that's all the more reason why they would want to help you if they do
So what happens when girls need advice? Where do we go?
That's coming
Text
soon.
to keep them is coming soon.
have Network Now.
Good afternoon. My name is Setu, and we are Network Now. And I have a question for everybody here. So, when you came to Startup Weekend, how many people did you know before you got here? Zero. And if you wanted to find someone, say you wanted a user interface developer, how would you find them? And at the end of the conference, if you met someone really cool, you just talked to him for a minute, who was that guy? How do I find him? How do I find him? So that's the solution we're trying to target. I came to Startup Weekend. I was looking for someone to develop an app, help me develop an app. And in the short amount of time, I couldn't find anyone. So, this is a big problem. Every year there are thousands and thousands of conferences. And people all come, they spend a lot of money trying to meet people. But in the limited amount of time, so many people, how do you find the right people? Because most people come trying to network with a certain kind of person. So it's really hard to do that. Our solution is basically we pull data that the participants of the conferences have already provided. So for example, Startup Weekend, we already gave our information, and we pull that information. Right now we're working with Eventbrite, we can pull from Eventbrite, and make that available to the participants. So the conference participants can get that data on their phone, sort it by what kind of person they're looking for, and find the right person that they can network with. The great advantage about our program is it uses data that's already available, and unlike other apps that everyone has to use the app for it to work, this works because we already have the data, and any one person can get benefit out of it. So one of the main issues is it's just a competitive landscape, with all these startups in the tech field. But we think we found an area that no one's covered. Right now we have apps or tools that help network in a social setting, but those don't help in a professional setting. We also have other apps that network, like LinkedIn, but those don't help you when you're actually at the event. When you're actually there and you're looking for someone, it's useless to you. So our solution, Network Now, helps you find the right people before, during, and after the event. So let's see a little demo.
Hi, my name is Andrew, and I suffer from ED, expansion deficiency. I have trouble expanding my network in conferences because I have no idea who I should be talking to. But now there's Network Now, the perfect prescription to accelerate your conference networking. I'm excited to try it out, so let's log in. When I log in, I can see the conferences I'm planning to attend, and this week I'm at USC Startup Weekend. In the event splash page, I can see general information about the conference, but I'm really eager to, just get it in and network now. In this page, I can see a comprehensive list of the attendees sorted by categories predefined by the event organizers. I can see who's checked in by the green dots and who I've previously identified before the events or in events I've previously attended. I'm an MBA student looking for a developer, but there are 34 developers, more people than I can realistically meet. Let's see how Network Now can help me narrow my targets. Sort by best match. In this event, I can see a list of attendees that Network Now has recommended for me based on its proprietary matching technology. It gives me recommendations based on my experience, interests, and my Network Now connections. Today, I'm not looking for people like me. I'm looking for a developer, so let's filter for an even better result. I'd really love to meet an LA developer from USC who develops HTML5 games. Awesome, now I've narrowed my matches to 3. Let's look at my top matches. Stay tuned. Perfect, Stay tuned is in the entertainment industry, and he develops in SQL on top of HTML5. Setu is giving me permission to his email and LinkedIn profile. Let me email him now to see if he's available for a quick lunch meeting. Sent. Perfect. Now I was able to meet Setu over lunch, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And I'd like to collaborate with him in the future. Let me like him and add him to my contact list. With Network Now, this was the best conference I ever had. Now I don't have to be ashamed about my ED. If you have ED, ask your doctor about Network Now, because networking in conferences is one thing that doesn't have to be hard.
Obviously, this was just a demo, but we've actually tested it. We worked in our test. We can get all the event data out of Eventbrite, and so when you set up an event in Eventbrite, you can ask certain questions, and then
insightful couple ways about doing that.
There are a couple. I guess I'll take Tyler's lead, just give you a comment. But it's just there are a couple companies that I've seen do this, and none of them have succeeded over the last 10 years. And the environment's different, and so I think there are more recently that are doing a better job. But one of the big problems is, and on the other side, is people's willingness to participate is purely a function of kind of connection spam, I guess. And so what happens is 99% of the people who attend a conference are going to meet are hoping to meet the same 1%. And if Bill Gates is going to a conference, he's not publicly publishing his profile, and then it kind of the whole thing breaks down. So something you might just think about is how to manage that issue from the attendees' perspective, because that ultimately will be.
Yeah, we had an opt-out kind of option.
But is it interesting if everyone opts out, or everyone knows the target opts out?
Can you tell us a little bit about execution, because it looked like we were looking at mock-ups there.
Yeah, so we tested on right now we're focusing on events, right, because they're growing and they're easy for us to work with. I think down the line we'd want to start integrating with other platforms. We want basically any event where you've already collected information. We want to be able to pull that already collected information. So we'd have to expand to some other platforms.
Is there a working platform now? Working out?
Just get a little bit on the back end, but not a full app. So like.
There's a company out there, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name right now, but I have dealt with them, that does 20 of the 40 biggest events in the country and about 70 other events. They've gone as far as putting repeaters at each of the events so you can locate somebody within feet. And they have a listing of all of the companies, and it's like the directory of the event. They haven't gone down to the people level. They've gone down to the company level. But they put a lot of energy for the last 2.5 years into doing something above what you're doing. Similar concept, except it's by company rather than by person.
Yeah, it's interesting.
One last thought: if you're interested in pursuing this space and kind of looking for partners, Eventbrite is kind of yesterday. You should talk to the true RSVP guys.
Yeah,
you want to do it tomorrow. Good job.
Thank you.
I turned it off. Oh, it's off.
And True RCP was the first logo up there, so you missed it.
Full disclosure, by the way, I'm not a fan.
Gift Monk.
Thank you. What is going on, USC Startup Weekend? How are we? Awesome. All right. Well, we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to get started. My name is Jordan Flack, and I'm here with Gift Monk. And what Gift Monk is, in a nutshell, essentially the smart and social gift suggestion engine. And so basically, like a lot of the ideas here, we started with a problem. And my problem, as well as the problem with the rest of the group, was that we're really terrible at picking what to get people for gifts, whether it be birthday or anniversary or holiday or whatever. So what we wanted to do was essentially create a site that would allow suggestions as far as what I could get each individual person. So we first developed a survey because we wanted to see, yes, we have this problem within our group, but are we just all individually terrible, lazy friends, or is it like the community? And as you can see, we have 62% of people that shop for their gifts online always or most of the time, and 66 said that they were willing to get suggestions on Facebook. And essentially what we did was we developed a system that grabbed your information and your interests and what you've been liking on Facebook and other social networking sites, and developed individual recommendations on those using that information. So we're going to go right into the demo. Here's John, who's going to explain it.
Sure. So how many of you guys have ever heard of what's it called, Hipmunk before? Okay, so Hipmunk is a really awesome service. It's kind of hard to see here because it's so zoomed out, but it's a really awesome service for finding flights. So basically, you just punch in what you want and it visualizes it very nicely, and it makes it really easy for you to decide stuff. So basically, what we wanted to do with Gift Monk is the same thing here. just make it really easy for you to make decisions about giving gifts to friends and not really have to think about it much. So it's a really simple interface. This is the front page. We're just going to connect with Facebook. And what it's going to do is grab all our Facebook friends, look through their birthdays, and then give us recommendations based on their interests. So what it's going to do is just give us 5 recommendations here. This is just what we got done within the weekend. But we could do much more sophisticated stuff with grabbing Twitter data, leveraging that, and getting more sophisticated recommendations. For example, we have Asher on our team. It's his birthday next weekend. Here's some books that were recommended for him. Jimmy Smith by Robert Sayowitz. I have no idea what that is. These are recommendations for friends. And so it's listed chronologically right now. It's intended to be very simple. Just make it very easy for you to make decisions. It's infinite scroll, so it's just going to keep going on forever and ever and ever until you run out of friends. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the demo. You want to talk about Margaret?
So by now you're probably thinking, wow, what an amazing application we've already got going. Your face is melted by how beautiful that was. And I completely agree. So now the hard part is figuring out what the market is, figuring out what kind of money we can make, and at the same time, figuring out how we get that in the hands and minds of users. So here are some data points that we picked up from the internet, obviously. And basically what we calculated based on very conservative estimates is that we can make about $102,000 this year. And that's very conservative based on not only conservative numbers that were going on, but we want to corner something about 0.1% of the market. And that's this first year based on the system which is already integrated with an 8% affiliate commission via Amazon. So anything that someone buys within 24 hours or via 24 hours after clicking on something on our site or our suggestion engine, we get a commission on that through Amazon. My background personally is social media. So I was in charge of marketing, seeing what people were saying on Twitter. And as you can see, this is a few people's tweets from the past week. And they are pretty specific, saying that they need this service. We did some targeted outreach on Twitter. We already have 3,000 followers on Twitter based on those lists of users who are already requesting the service specifically in the upcoming days, and we hope to see revenue by tonight.
And so basically what you've seen here is essentially just like the basic, the fundamentals, the foundation of what we're trying to do, but we see like an endless possibility with the functionality of this site. So we want to add searchability, so you can search in categories and different categories and prices and such. And to even things such as gift share, where you can collaboratively get together and buy your friend a gift with other people. So that's essentially our idea.
The rest of our team.
Get the whole team up here, yeah.
So first off, yeah. So it really was beautiful. First off, awesome design on the product side. Was that you?
Yeah.
That's right. And everyone. I'm struck because the problem you're solving is exactly the basis of a business I started 12 years ago. So we should talk afterwards. Raised a bunch of VC. It's a big problem. You're on to something. It's very hard to solve. So we should talk about it. But it's a great problem to solve. And if you can do what you described and come up with recommendations, some of the ones I would have some quality concerns based on what I saw. But if you can actually deliver on that promise, it's a huge win. The issue is going to be distribution. And by the way, the 8% Amazon. I don't know what that was. But dream on.
It actually do it outside of
California. It goes up being outside of California, of course.
You got a year. You got a year to make it work. But distribution is the real question. So you got to get people to come to you before they go to Amazon. 3,000 at a time is really hard work. How do you scale that?
As far as distribution, I'm a little confused.
You got to get people who are trying to buy gifts,
right?
Whose behavior today is programmed to go to Macy's or .com or Amazon.com.
Oh, okay.
Or gift registries. Well, basically, since the app is already social to begin with, the idea down the line is to integrate it with Facebook so that anyone buys something, it'll instantly post on their wall, just bought you that gift.
Yeah, but you're not going to say, I just bought my mom this book.
Oh, no, exactly.
Tomorrow.
But in terms of social media, the way it's used today, and Twitter as just a general feed of thought from millions and millions of people, as you saw, there are people who are asking for help among their own communities, but we can tap into that through automated searches and just have, the general marketing stream going where every single time someone posts, we instantly follow them, tweet at them, and say, check this out. If we tweet at 10,000 people, the turnaround is just what really matters.
Twitter is very familiar with the business distribution strategy of pinging people with a particular keyword. I lost my cell phone. Oh, we sell cell phone cases. And finally, Twitter deals with this problem on a daily basis, and they kind of have that on lockdown. I used to try and build businesses based on those models, so I'm very familiar with the API limits on that kind of stuff. Although, if you are providing real value and you can demonstrate that to them, and you become friends and you have lunch with them on a regular basis, you might be able to get an exception. So,
except they're trying to demonstrate a revenue model, so you will wind up paying.
Yeah. But I to kind of follow up on what Scott said, I'm very familiar with Hitmonkey. I think Hitmonkey's right, and I think your adaptation of the interface is so kind of unique and novel. I'm tempted to. I want to see this work, and I can imagine investors that would want to invest. Actually.
Yeah, well, I know several who have invested.
Did they make money on that investment?
They did.
So we were joking about the affiliate revenue, but that's kind of a serious question here. So maybe you can talk a little bit more about the revenue model.
Right now, the affiliate revenue is at 4% until we sell 7 items. It goes up to 6% at that point, and from what I could tell, it goes up to 12%. And that's on any purchase after this user clicks on the link. The cookie's stored for 24 hours. So any purchase that person makes through Amazon. So
the function of category.
It seemed, I wasn't able to fully figure out a true answer, but it seemed like the cookie stays with that user. Anything they buy on Amazon, if they followed our link initially to get there. So even if we don't convert them to that specific item, they've still gone through our site. We get the money on any purchase they make if they're planning on a purchase soon.
Are there any other channels other than lead gen?
Other than which?
Other than lead generation, affiliate revenue, selling stuff for Amazon and getting that 4, 6, 8%.
I'll just chime in here, and there was one thing. There was one thing that I threw out there, which is when it comes into actually the collaborative gift buying, we could actually wedge ourselves in the middle of a purchase like that, where we're creating value by, essentially bringing together, say, 3 or 4 people to collectively buy, say, a TV or say something that's a little bit higher of a price point. We could wedge a little bit of some sort of service charge in the middle of that. So I think that was mentioned in the PowerPoint as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an emotional purchase, and it's fairly subtle. Really, we should talk because I faced exactly these issues, both sides of that. So I'd love to hear how your thoughts are.
Totally.
But it's a good problem. So.
Then to clarify, so when we do the judging thing, what we saw there was that an actual Facebook login, and then
yes. So it's not public. It's running on localhost right now, but give me a couple hours. I'll
it's running where?
It's not running live right now, but give me a couple hours.
It's running localhost.
Yep.
All right.
Lloyd script.
So I'm going to come up here and not use a microphone and use this fancy thing. Okay? Well, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, judges, nobody's thanked you yet for coming. On behalf of everyone, we really appreciate you coming down here today, and we look forward to talking with you now and afterwards. My name is Matt Lucido, and we are Lloyd Script. The entertainment industry. We live in LA. When you hear the words of the industry, we're talking about the entertainment industry. This is a crazy industry. People are overworked, stressed out, and have way too many scripts to read every single day. So we've identified a fundamental problem within the script reading employee base of the entertainment industry. In order to highlight this, we're going to go to pop culture, pull on a clip from Entourage, in which we have super agent Ari and our friend, the assistant Lloyd.
Everyone, please, listen up.
No one mentioned Richard Roper again. Not today, not ever. By doing so, you are simply announcing that on Sunday nights, instead of doing your job, reading scripts, you're watching TV. The next person to mention Richard Roper will be fired. And Lloyd, you will also be fired if you don't answer the fucking phone!
All right, hold on. I like men,
Or you're a fucking idiot.
The last part's my favorite. So comedy aside, this highlights actual reality. Again, this industry is crazy. Now, the problem is simple. For Lloyd and those like Lloyd, they have anywhere from 2 to 8 scripts to read daily, and they just can't do it. There's just not enough time in the day. So what we've done is we've come up with a very simple solution, and that is Lloyd Script. And it is an interactive mobile application for script listening on the go. And what we've done is we've taken scripts, we've pushed them to mobile devices, and then we've added them to the cloud to enable seamless transition between platforms, so on your tablet, on your smartphone. And we've also reached out to the communities where this problem exists, and we've learned that there are a lot of features that we do need to address. We can go through some of those later. But before we get there, let's talk about market strategy. We have a three-pronged approach. We have app review sites with our mobile app. We have a social media foothold, of course. And the third and most important is an initial target market penetration. Now, at USC, we have the School for Cinematic Arts. This is the best in the world. And within our team, we have a couple guys that are in this school. And then also, the other part of our initial target market are the Lloyds of the world. So we have the Lloyds, and then we have the future Lloyds. Now, what we want to do is initially go to both of these groups and offer a freemium model. So we have a free app in order to test the market within those two segments, get it out to them, our version 1.0, and ultimately, as we pump version 1.0, 2.0 into the system, we'll get the proper feedback that we need in order to push a version 3.0 or an iteration of it into a paid app. And this will be a monthly subscription service. Then, ultimately, the long-term goal is to push an enterprise model where we're tackling issues on a larger scale with more functionality and actually going after B2B instead of B2C. So there's two types of revenue models there. Now, in order to highlight this solution, what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through our demo. Imagine the day in the life of Lloyd. Okay, I'm Lloyd, 9 o'clock. I've already read 2 scripts. I got to read 3 more tonight. I'm at my desk, and I've read halfway through a script. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to mark exactly where I left off on my computer at work. Let's say, what do you think, you guys? UPS, right here. Let's mark this spot.
Oh, good morning, UPS.
Good morning, UPS. Let's mark that spot, Andy, if you will. All right, shut down my computer, get in my car, open up my Lloyd script, and I hit Ace Ventura. Great movie, by the way.
Good morning, UPS. He tosses the box behind his back like a basketball, then acknowledges another passerby.
Okay. So, what just happened there? You left your office exactly where you left off. Now you have audio streaming of the script where you were. We also want to enable Lloyd to pause so that he can then insert a voice note and provide what's called coverage in the industry, taking notes on specific characters, etc. All right, so that is our idea. It's a simple solution to an obvious problem in our niche market here in LA. And we have an excellent team we've compiled to tackle this problem. We have engineers from Viterbi. We have designers from Cinematic Arts. We also have MBA students. And at this time, I'd actually like to bring down our great team. And we'll go ahead and open up the floor for questions. But thank you for listening, judges, and everybody else. We appreciate your time.
I'll just get that. First of all, points for the gratitude, points for making it under time. So it's a good way to start. I have to say, between the video and your demo, nothing you said, I couldn't tell you something like that. It was too jargony to around. So it's just presentation style. Quick, punchy, benefits, problem, down from down. I really reacted negatively to the way that you closed. Niche problem, simple solution to a niche problem. Why would you say that? So tell me why that's as a potential investor.
So this platform, at least this is how we envisioned it, is applicable across a lot of industries. But what we want to do here is highlight our ability to code quickly for a niche industry that makes sense to the group that we have and the group that's around us, which is film, entertainment, cinema here at SC. So what we came up with was the niche solution to an obvious problem, and that's what I meant by that.
So your point being, it's so easy that you can implement it and knock it out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yes,
And
exactly.
being the fact that we're here in LA, where you have the biggest, some of the worst traffic in the country, and yet you also have everybody who reads scripts in the country, just makes sense.
So I'll pass it on, but personally, I'd like to hear about how that niche market is willing to pay anything for this awesome solution. And you've already signed one guy up who's doing $20K a year to give it to CNN.
We've actually done market research, and we didn't post it up because we wanted to focus on the actual application. But a lot of the people have given us further comments as well, saying it needs to be idiot-proof, stuff like that, and that they'd be willing to pay up to $20 for this application.
That's the B2C model, yeah.
Yeah, so
B2C,
that's
not
great.
even
That's very
enterprise.
20 out of 20 people in the past 8 hours.
Nice.
So.
Who are agents?
Okay, but the model is very much B2C that you're presenting.
The initial model, yes, it has to be in order to get the right kind of feedback in product development from an engineering perspective.
And that's the concept of consumerization.
We think it makes great sense for B2B because the assistants are essentially trying to add value to their bosses' jobs. So it's an excellent way to get into a B2B model.
And there's even greater motivation because the entertainment industry, it consists of a little over 900,000 people, and it's currently decreasing around 3%, per month almost. And the reason why it's decreasing is because this job is what's cutting people out, and so they want to be able to cover more scripts so that they can keep their jobs. So even greater motivation.
Well, you used to have two assistants. One who would just do coverage, the other one who would do your coffee and everything else. Now that person.
You can read much faster than you hear. So when you're doing 40 scripts, my wife was a script reader for Lorimar. She read the original screenplay for Dallas a long time ago. And she read 200 television show scripts a week. She couldn't listen to those shows. There's just not enough time.
So the idea is not as a substitute to reading scripts, because that's never going to happen. You're always going to have to. There's always going to be a need to read scripts. The idea is that we give you the ability, when you can't physically read scripts, like when you're in the car or at the gym, you can use that time more efficiently to better your life, to have more free time, to read more scripts maybe when you get home. That's the idea.
Yeah. My girlfriend's a Lloyd, and she comes home at 9 o'clock at night. And she cries a little bit, and then she tells me how many scripts she has to read. And of course, I have to help her. So I'm an interactive media person, and I'm interested in all this stuff. So I said, well, why don't you just listen to it? And she looked at me in shock. So really, I could like listen to this? I'm like, yeah. You're in traffic, you're going for a drive. You like to go to the gym, don't you, honey? Like, you get on that treadmill and you want to listen to something. Why not listen to this script? Like, you're really worried about not being able to, do all the work that you think you need to do. So it's about making Lloyd feel like he's going to get ahead. So the more scripts they read, the better they.
It seems to me that there's a much bigger market of people who are losing their eyesight or have lost their eyesight, and they want to read things that don't exist.
That market's been around for a long time, and I think it's probably pretty well served. But of course, we're about providing the functionality that allows you to read the script and then go from the script to the audio and do things like go to scene 5 and jump around and then add notes for your coverage.
I think he's exactly right. With the baby boomers hitting, I would be interested to see the market data on the number of script readers in LA. I could only guess the number would be, but certainly the number of baby boomers that are hitting retirement age, there can be very well. I would wager he's right.
And those people definitely have assistants that do things like say, get this iPad or script like that. So those are the people that's why we're going to target those people.
Yeah, well,
There's not just people that can't see anymore that want to read. There's lawyers, there's doctors, there's students. We're going to target all of these people eventually, but the idea is to get something rolling now, generate revenue now, which will be generated.
All right.
Now it's on to our last company of the night, Sight Unseen.
So, welcome. Good afternoon. We're Sight Unseen. So recently I had the opportunity to do some traveling in Asia. I was in Beijing and I had both of these things. I had smartphone, and a travel guidebook. Now, I ended up relying on the travel guidebook more because I didn't have a data plan. The maps in here are tiny, and the street names were incorrect. I ended up getting lost. I got ripped off by some pedicab drivers. I ended up too late at the Forbidden City to get in. So it was a terrible experience, so I thought, there's got to be a better way. So came up with Sight Unseen. Sight Unseen is a mobile application that dynamically generates walking tours and also features an offline mode where all the map data is pre-downloaded and cached to your phone so that you don't rely on an active data connection as you're traveling abroad. So this is current walking tours. It's static. It's one and done. With Sight Unseen, you'll basically have a wealth of walking tours based on the preferences that you have at that time. So what's a walking tour without great content? We're going to pull content from 3 different sources. First is open content sites such as Wikipedia, go back. Okay. Yeah, so the first source is open sites like Wikipedia and WikiTravel. Why pay $30 for a travel guidebook when there's plenty of great content available online for free? And then also we really wanted to have a local experience. So we're going to be crowdsourcing as well as relating on curated tours from experienced travel writers. Next. So I'm from New York. Tourists are really, really easy to spot. You know, they're looking at the maps, looking at the guidebooks, right? It's not cool. Next. So let's see some real New Yorkers, right? Spot all the smartphones. Next. So if we're going to be competing with Lonely Planet, we're going to be competing for a slice of this pie. $110 million is the revenue for the top 3 companies. That's Let's Go, Forwarders, and Lonely Planet. The pie that we're really interested in, though, is this one. Mobile ad revenue, $3.3 billion, and local businesses spent $5.6 billion on Google Ads last year. So not only do we think that Sight Unseen is a great tour guide app, it's also a really great advertising platform. As you're walking along doing your tour, you'll be pushed relevant ads as you're walking past businesses. So how are we going to build users? Easy. We're going to make it free. So we went out and did some consumer research yesterday, and pretty much everyone we talked to who had a smartphone said that they would pay for this app, that they would use this app if it was for free. Even better was that 72% said that they would pay for it. So we'd have a premium version as well that would offer some features not included in the basic model. Next. Our growth strategy is to start small, target a single neighborhood with a guerrilla marketing campaign. So I'm thinking flyers, stickers, posters, word of mouth, and then jump to another neighborhood. And do it ad infinitum until we have a city, and then go there to another destination. We would also be partnering strategic partnerships with other companies in the travel industry. Next. So this is a comparative matrix of us compared to some of the other competitors in the mobile app space, and Sight Unseen has these advantages. So since this is a startup weekend, we actually built a beta, and we're here to demo it now. So here we see on the left, we built the app for Android. You start off with the picker screen, you set the length of time that you want to tour for, and you set some basic parameters, such as are you interested in sports, food and drink. So this is a tour for USC, local gems, etc. Click go. And it generates a tour for you. You'll get a map, you'll get the points of interest on the screen. So the gold points are the points of interest, so Tommy Trojan and the like. And then all the green points would be the sponsored sites, or the sponsored points of interest. And then we'd also have red gems for local kind of crowdsourced content. As you're going through a tour, GPS guided, you'll come across the site, you click on it, and you get some great content coming in from the top. And then also, we implemented augmented reality so that, furthermore, you don't get lost as you're taking your tour. You can just pull out your live camera and find where the next point of interest is.
I don't know if you guys can see here, but it's pulling up a couple of buildings around campus. So if you're looking for your next point, and maybe it's an address you've never heard of, it's a local gem, and it can point it out to you here.
So with Sight Unseen, you just select what you're interested in. You select how much time you have to spend. Click go, and then you're on your way to discover Sight Unseen. Thank you.
points from a presentation perspective, that you guys actually used the projector to put the phone up there. I like that. Talk a little bit about, from an execution standpoint, the augmented reality. You're obviously utilizing some APIs and some other services, or what's proprietary in what you've written?
Okay, so there's obviously augmented reality engines out there. This particular one's called Mixar, and they let you integrate it into any application. They let you call it from any application because this is Android, and you're allowed to do things like that. But you can. So what we did really is we put these things into a database, and then we integrated this particular engine into our code, and then we just call it, and it brings up these points that we've specified. We've specified some data for them, and later we can put in, this is a particular marker for this thing, and things like that. So that's of course, along with the Google Maps APIs, and Foursquare is actually what we're using to pull location data. But we're thinking about using several other sources beyond that. Obviously, Wikipedia is a big one. So.
It kind of reminds me of the market space of when Google was kind of developing. It was really crowded, and there was a lot of search engines, and then they just did one kind of real clever thing right. And certainly this kind of space is actually quite crowded. I get tons of pitches on this kind of stuff all the time. And there's some really smart people working on it, but one other idea that came to mind was the idea of if you're on a walking tour, you could get a notification passively, so you're not constantly looking at your phone. Like, hey, you're within 20 meters of something you want to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Did that idea come up during the? I think that would be a cool feature. But two other points I want to make. Initially, I was worried about the business model, but I like how you presented it here. My concern would be: is that something that you can also kind of API in all of the local stuff, or is that something you feel like you're going to have to totally build out from scratch?
Some of it we'll have to build out. So. I know that Turcoso, they built a crawler to actually crawl sites like Wikipedia, Wikitravel to build that database. But because our growth strategy is really focused on a specific neighborhood at first, and we really want to bring that local experience, we're going to be going to people within the community to pull that information in first.
There's pluses and minuses, right? It's more defensible because you're going to have to do the work yourself, and the quality will be better, but it's a heck of a lot of work, right?
As far as the passive notifications, it's actually already been implemented. It'll jump up at you if you pass by a local gem while you're walking to your next spot. And certainly, I think building things out locally is going to be more about getting that advertising revenue, whereas we already have that data aggregated. It's about when do we show it, and have you paid enough for us to show it for you?
Right. Yeah, I mean, if we're focusing on a specific neighborhood, we can pretty easily just kind of crawl the internet and find as much information about that neighborhood as possible. And then I've also been thinking about doing partnerships with perhaps some people who know a lot about that neighborhood. For instance, I'm a big fan of this author who wrote a walking tour guidebook for Los Feliz in some of the areas in East LA. He's actually a professor here. I've been meaning to talk to him about maybe partnering with him to allocate some content as well. He'd be one of the curators.
So I think great job on the presentation. Hit the big points, really communicated it, set up I think a category that is a little bit outside of the popular norm, actually. And so, nice job, awesome demo, very cool looking product. High marks. I think it is. Do either of you come from the travel industry or travel media industry?
No.
Because you're smaller pie. It is a completely different customer segment that buys Lonely Planet compared to Let's Go compared to Photo or something. And I think understanding those the desires and expectations of each of the customers will be essential here. For some of them, this kind of an application will hold no interest at all, and for some, it'll be revolutionary. But I think it's really interesting. Nice job. I think that the monetization piece is a little bit yet to be proven, and distribution. When you're competing with folks who have massive brands in this sector with probably worse solutions in the book, but it's nonetheless that's the current behavior.
We talked to some local businesses in the area yesterday, and and they actually really love the platform. But you know, as you can probably guess, like they're tightening their belts and they're not really looking to spend a lot of money unless we can actually prove the ROI. So that was the whole idea behind the free, and try to build a user base first before, you know, and then, you know, gather that data. Yeah, exactly.
The ROI. We have location data. We can prove that they're walking in front of their store right now.
And that's a value proposition that we'd be bringing, our ability to track the users in physical space.
I think I'm sorry. I think your ROI would be pretty easy to prove. You can build the yellow pages behind it, and that's out there, so that people can go to. They see a restaurant they want, they can find it immediately and get there or make a reservation or whatever. The real issue is how do you separate yourself from Google Earth, where they show all these attractions on a map. And the way, I've done a lot of traveling. When I travel, I look for the tidbits. A little tiny thing that says, to get into the Louvre, you don't wait with 3,000 people at 9 in the morning. There's an entrance on the right side where you go down the stairs and you wait for 5 minutes. You give people those kinds of tips. Like, you know, Europe on $5 a day has those tips in every city. If you can build that in, it takes you much farther than something like Google Earth, which shows you points of interest, and you click on it and it shows you Wikipedia.
I completely agree. I think extracting that locals only information is really going to be a key part of this business. And the way that I see ourselves differentiating ourselves from Google would be that Google is really great in terms of identifying destinations, but this is kind of more about the journey and kind of having a very vague idea of how you're going to be spending your afternoon, and then just giving some key points of metadata, pressing go, and then you have your itinerary all planned out for you. So Google Earth is great if you have a lot of time to do research, but this is something that I imagine being a little bit more ad hoc. We did some consumer research, and people who travel tend to allocate some free time during their travels. They don't plan the entire 100% of the day every day. They only plan maybe about 50%. So we'd be competing for that extra 50%.